They told her to go home. They told her he might not make it. But she wouldn't move. Not for food. Not for sleep. Not even for the pouring rain. For 6 days, this stray dog stood guard at the hospital doors, waiting for the man who had once given her hope. The sun was setting over the small town of Villanova, spilling golden light across the cracked sidewalks and peeling shop signs. The air smelled faintly of bread from the corner bakery, and on the far side of the street, a man named Daniel was walking home with a bag of groceries in one hand and a small loaf tucked under his arm. Trailing him, as she had for months, was the little brown stray no one really noticed, except him. Her fur was patchy, her ribs faintly visible, but her eyes were alive. She didn't bark, she didn't beg, she simply followed, at a respectful distance, every single day. Daniel had taken to feeding her when he could, a crust of bread, a scrap of chicken, a bowl of water on hotter days. He called her Luna, though he didn't know if she even had a name, and Luna she followed like a shadow. That evening, halfway down the block, Daniel suddenly stopped walking. His fingers went slack, and the grocery bag slipped from his hand. The bread rolled onto the sidewalk. He grabbed his chest, gasping, a sound Luna had never heard before. Then he fell. The world blurred. A woman screamed from a balcony. Footsteps thundered across the pavement. Someone shouted, "Call an ambulance." Luna darted forward, her paws clattering on the concrete, and pressed her nose against Daniel's arm. She whined, circling him, tail low, ears pinned back. Within minutes, the wail of sirens filled the air. 2 paramedics knelt beside Daniel, speaking in clipped, urgent voices. One of them tried to shoo Luna away. She resisted, pacing, whining, her eyes never leaving Daniel's face. They lifted him onto a stretcher, strapping him in. Luna followed, paws almost on the heels of the paramedic. When the ambulance doors shut, she barked once, sharp, desperate. Then she began running. The vehicle pulled away. She chased. Her nails scraped the asphalt. Her breath came in short bursts. The streets blurred. Cars honked, but she ran and ran, until the bright red lights ahead turned into the glowing entrance of the hospital. She stopped at the automatic doors. They opened, and the scent of antiseptic and cold air hit her nose. She took one hesitant step inside, only for a security guard to block her path. "Sorry, girl," he said softly, pushing her gently back out into the night. The doors closed. Luna sat down, her gaze fixed on where she had last seen Daniel disappear. And there, under the white hospital lights, with cars rolling past and strangers whispering, she began her vigil. But no one knew that what started that night would become a 6-day testament to a bond the world could not ignore. The hospital entrance never slept. Ambulances rolled in. Nurses came and went. But Luna didn't move far from the sliding glass doors. She sat when she could, curled into a tight ball against the chill. When headlights swept over her, she lifted her head, not in fear, but in hope. Inside, Daniel was being prepped for emergency surgery. His heart had suffered a severe attack. Machines beeped and doctors moved quickly. He didn't know, couldn't know, that just a few meters away, Luna was waiting. Around 10 p.m., a young nurse noticed her. "She's been here since I came on shift," she told a colleague. "Hasn't even eaten the muffin I left for her." The security guard who had turned her away earlier shook his head. "I tried to get her to leave. She won't go. Just sits there staring at the doors." The air cooled as midnight approached. The streets emptied, and the hospital's front steps grew quiet, except for the soft sound of rain starting to fall. Luna shifted under a narrow awning, but kept her head toward the entrance. Cars slowed as they passed, drivers glancing at the small but figure. A few locals recognized her as the market dog, the one who roamed near Daniel Street. Around 3 a.m., a paramedic walked out for a smoke break. He noticed her curled shape, her soaked fur. "Poor thing," he murmured, crouching down. "Who are you waiting for?" She only looked at him, then back toward the doors. The rain turned heavy. Drops bounced off the pavement, soaking her completely. The paramedic fetched a towel from his vehicle, draped it over her, but still she stayed, eyes unblinking toward the glass. By morning, staff were quietly rooting for her. "She's waiting for someone," the night nurse told the day shift. "Someone important. They didn't know it yet, but her patience was only just beginning to be tested. By sunrise, Luna was a topic of conversation. Patients' families lingered outside just to see her. Staff slipped her bits of food, most of which she ignored. At 8 a.m., Daniel's sister, Anna, arrived, breathless from the early train ride. As she approached the entrance, she stopped short. "Luna," she whispered. The little dog stood and wagged her tail for the first time in hours, but only briefly, before resuming her watch toward the doors. Anna knelt. "You followed him, didn't you?" Her voice broke. "You waited all night." She went inside to see Daniel, learning he was stable but unconscious. In the waiting room, she told the nurse, "That's my brother's dog. Well, sort of. She's been living near him for months." Word spread through the hospital. This wasn't just any stray. This was Daniel's shadow. Anna brought out water and bread, sitting beside her on the curb. "I can take you home," she offered gently. Luna glanced at her, licked her fingers, and then lay back down, eyes forward, toward the doors. People began filming. Photos appeared online with captions like, "Dog waits outside hospital for her owner." By afternoon, a small crowd gathered, keeping their distance, curious about the loyal little guardian. But Luna didn't care about them. She was waiting for one thing, one person. And as the day stretched on, the question grew louder. What would it take to bring her inside, and would it happen in time? By the third day, the weather turned. Clouds rolled over the small town like a dark blanket, swallowing the morning light. The air thickened with the smell of rain, and gusts of wind rattled the hospital's metal signage. Luna was still there. She hadn't left, not for food, not for shelter. Her fur was dirty, her paws stained from pacing the pavement, but her eyes still locked on the sliding glass doors. Inside, nurses whispered updates. Daniel was still unconscious, though his heart rate had improved. The doctor's words were cautious. "The next 48 hours are critical." At noon, the sky opened. Rain hammered the street, splashing into ankle-high puddles. Passers-by ducked under umbrellas and awnings. The hospital security guard stepped out, frowning. "She's going to get sick out here." He tried to coax her under the overhang. Luna took a step back, as though unwilling to be moved away from the exact spot she'd chosen. Then Anna appeared again, a large umbrella in hand. She knelt beside Luna, holding it over both of them. "It's okay, girl. I'm here." The dog leaned against her leg for warmth, but her head remained pointed toward the glass. A loud clap of thunder cracked overhead. Luna flinched, but didn't bolt. The umbrella tilted as Anna tried to shield her from the wind-driven rain. A nurse peered out from the door and called, "Bring her in." Just for a moment. Rules had been clear. No animals in the hospital, but compassion overruled policy. They led Luna through a side entrance into a narrow corridor. The floor smelled faintly of disinfectant. The change in her was immediate. Her ears pricked, nose twitching. She could smell him, somewhere in this maze of hallways. Daniel's scent was faint but unmistakable. She patted forward, but the nurse gently stopped her. "Not yet, sweetheart, not yet." They gave her a towel and a blanket, setting them beside a radiator in the small waiting area. Luna curled into the warmth for the first time in days, but her eyes stayed fixed on the door to the ward. Outside, the storm raged. Wind howled against the building. Rain battered the windows. But for Luna, the world had narrowed to this hallway, this door, this moment she was waiting for. She was inside now. The one she loved was still out of reach. By day 4, Luna had become part of the hospital's rhythm. Nurses brought her scraps during shift changes. The janitor left a small bowl of fresh water near her blanket each morning. Visitors stopped to pet her on their way in. She accepted the kindness, but only for seconds before resuming her post. Her patience was not passive. She watched every movement, every pair of shoes that came down the hallway, every door that swung open. Her head would lift, ears forward, then drop again when it wasn't him. That night, Anna sat beside her, stroking her damp fur. "He'd be so proud of you," she whispered. "You've been braver than all of us." Her voice cracked. "I don't know if he can hear us, but I think you do." In Daniel's room, machines hummed. His hand twitched once, a subtle sign the nurse noticed, but didn't yet share. At 2 a.m., the corridors were quiet. Luna shifted restlessly. nose twitching again. She stood, walked to the ward door, and sat down, tail curled around her paws, staring. It was as if she knew something was changing on the other side. Moments later, the night nurse walked out, surprised to see her there. You knew, didn't you?" she murmured. Inside, Daniel's eyes had fluttered open for the first time since the heart attack. Anna was called immediately. She arrived, rushing through the ward doors. Luna tried to follow, nails clicking on the tile, but was gently turned back again. The nurse knelt to her. "Soon," she promised. Very soon. By morning, the news spread. Daniel was awake. Weak, yes, but aware. And he had already asked, voice raspy, "Where's Luna?" Anna laughed and cried all at once. "She's here, Daniel." She never left. But could the hospital bend the rules enough to let a loyal dog see her best friend before it was too late? The morning light streamed through the hospital windows, soft and golden after days of storms. The air smelled of freshly brewed coffee from the cafeteria. Staff were buzzing, not about medical charts or new arrivals, but about one particular patient request. Daniel was awake now, speaking in short sentences. His body was still weak, but his mind had one clear focus. "I want to see Luna." Anna, sitting at his bedside, smiled through tears. "She's here, Daniel. She's been here the whole time. She followed you to the hospital that night." His brow furrowed. "The rain," he whispered. "The nights," his voice cracked. "She stayed." Anna nodded. "Every single day." Down the hall, Luna stirred on her blanket. The nurse, who had been quietly championing her cause, knelt beside her. "It's time," she whispered. They opened the ward door slowly, unsure how Luna would react. At first, she walked cautiously, sniffing the air. Then, her head snapped toward a familiar scent. Her tail began to wag, tentatively and faster. Her paws quickened. The camera would catch the exact moment recognition lit her eyes. Daniel looked toward the doorway, just as Luna bounded in. He lifted a trembling hand. "Luna." She whined loud, emotional, before pressing her head against his chest. The monitor beside him beeped faster, but the doctor only smiled. Daniel's hand moved slowly through her fur, as if reassuring himself she was real. Tears weren't limited to Daniel and Anna. Nurses stood in the doorway, misty-eyed. Even the stoic security guard had a small smile. For several minutes, there were no words, just a man and his dog, reunited after days of uncertainty. But Luna's story didn't end here, because what came next turned her from a loyal dog into a local legend. Word of Luna's vigil had already begun to spread online. Photos taken by hospital visitors had gone viral. Captions like, "This is loyalty," and "Find someone who looks at you like this dog looks at her human." Within days, journalists appeared outside the hospital. Locals stopped by with food, toys, even offers to adopt her. But Anna would tell them all the same thing. She already has a home. Daniel's recovery was slow, but every day, Luna visited him. Hospital staff would escort her in for short intervals, mindful of his rest. Every time she entered, his spirits visibly lifted. By the time Daniel was discharged, the two of them walked out together, Daniel moving carefully, Luna glued to his side. People clapped as they passed, phones recording. Back home, Luna didn't return to the streets. Anna had arranged for her to have a warm bed, regular meals, and a safe place. But the truth was, Luna didn't care about the bed or the food as much as she cared about being near Daniel. In the weeks that followed, Daniel often found her lying by his chair, watching him with quiet devotion. If he left the room, she followed. If he stepped outside, she sat by the door until he returned. One evening, as the sun set, Daniel scratched her ears and whispered, "You saved me, Luna. You kept me alive, even when I didn't know you were there." Luna's story is more than just a tale about a dog. It's proof that love and loyalty can exist in their purest form, without conditions or boundaries. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to believe in that kind of devotion. And tell us in the comments, who is the Luna in your life? Subscribe for more true stories of everyday animal heroes, because sometimes the smallest paws leave the biggest prints on our hearts.